Take two, K1 GMM Steve over here in the ditch in Vermont. I'm going to go over getting VST host up and running. I will put a link to VST host in the description of this video along with the website for resources. I just did one take, spent a half hour on this and realized I was on the wrong screen for about 10 minutes of it. So I had to redo it. Here we go. Take two. VST host. And excuse the wife stomping on the floor upstairs. As usual. H&R stomping stuff is going wild. What I'm going to show you is, for those of you running a 7300, I was talking to Dave M6 ENS this morning, and I decided I just put VST host in yesterday. And I've been playing with this. And for those of you that would like to run a DAW on transmit, so let me go over what I'm doing. This video is not really, this is relevant, what I'm about to show you, but it's not about what this is not what this video is about, this tutorial or description or whatever's going on. So those of you who know, I've toggled back and forth, who are in the know that I've toggled back and forth between the DAW and the rec here on TX. Now I'm back on the DAW for TX just because I can get it quieter and I have more control. And how I'm doing it is I'm using the DAW like before, but I'm not using virtual. I'm not using that crap voice meter banana or anything. So how this is set up is I'm using the DAW, and I take the output of the sound card that I'm using on the DAW and send that, it's a 1/4 inch TRS out to a 3-pin XLR that I made. So it's a balanced connection, and it goes to, let me show you guys. Now remember, this is for the TX side, but there's a point to this. So let me go over here. So I use one of these. This is a 20 dB to 40 dB pad set to 20 dB. So I come out of the sound card into this, the 3-pin XLR, comes in here, and then the Heil cable to the rig, which comes in right here, plugs into that. The reason why I need a 20 dB pad is because the signal is so hot. So, okay, so that's how I'm bringing I'm using the DAW, but patching it analog into the front of the 7300. I also do it the same way with the Sun SDR2DX. No latency, works really well. Now, the reason why I'm telling you this is before I was playing with running the RX noise reduction system, the RX DSP on the 7300, on the raw front end of the 7300, I was running that in Cakewalk as well. The problem with that is with the TX side and the RX side running in Cakewalk, it was producing a horrendous amount of latency, horrible latency. I couldn't deal with it. It was unacceptable to me. Enter splitting it, so letting Cakewalk handle the TX side and letting VST host handle the RX side. So I'm going to show you how to make this work. All right, so the first thing you want to do is use the link in the description, download VST host for your appropriate operating system, 32-bit, 64-bit, x86 or 64, do that. Hold on. And what's going to come in, let me get over to the other screen quick. The download will be right here. This is what it'll look like. So if you're it'll say x86 or x64, VST host. What you want to do is right click, extract this, and create a folder on your desktop to send it to. This does not install. It installs to a folder. And once you do that, Then you come back over to the desktop. Let me get out of here. And I created a VST host folder. So if you left click this and open it, this is what's in here, right? Ignore this stuff up here because this is what I created. That's your main program. So you left click that and open it. Now I'm not going to get into how to make the software work so much, as I'm going to include a great video, and this guy shows exactly how to make this work. What I am going to show you is how to configure the plugins. All right, and a few key things that I'm going to reiterate that will be redundant when you watch the video. So the first thing you want to do when you launch the program is go to Devices, click Wave, and you want to set your input and output. So on the 7300, you want the microphone 3 USB audio codec, okay? On the output, you want whatever sound card you're going to monitor with. So if you don't have an external sound card, you can use the Realtek speakers, which is what I have, which is the onboard card. You want MME. And if you have a primary station card, like I have an M Audio card, usually I set that to the M Audio Air 192.4 or whatever card you may use as a primary station outboard card, or a better quality card. I'm doing this for the sake of the stream, because I need to use this particular card for the stream so I can get audio to the stream. All right. Sample rate, make sure your sample rate is set to 48 kilohertz. Your buffer, I have mine set to 250 samples. I don't have an issue with that, and I'm probably going to work it down to speed it up even more. What you want to do is you want to start at a comfortable place, maybe 500 samples, depending on your operating system and your hardware and your computer. You want it stable. Don't sacrifice stability for the sake of speed. So you can work that over eventually, right? So the next thing you want to do is go down to your speaker icon, right click, go to sounds. This is if you're on Windows 10. If you're not on Windows 10, joke's on you. You know how you need to be able to get to your playback and recording area. So navigate there. Make sure your USB audio codec right here is active. This is the codec that is installed with your driver for the 7300. Make sure that's installed. If it's not installed, it won't work. Silicon Labs driver, you can get it from Icom pretty much anywhere. All right. Go to listen. Make sure it's set default playback device. This is unchecked. Levels, this can be excruciatingly hot. So make sure you're going to have to bring this down to like 50 to 70, somewhere in there. Mine's a 63. Go to advanced. Make sure you're at 16-bit 48 kilohertz. Make sure you're on 48 kilohertz because that's where the VST host is running. You want all your sample rates the same. You don't want to mix and match. Okay? That's done. Does not have to be set to default device. Doesn't care. All right? Actually, you don't want to do that. So moving on. So once there's a series of plugins that you're going to want. And the plugins are available on the website. You can download them. I've got my Corona here, so excuse me. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want, once you set your devices up, and one thing about the devices, so if you go back in here, if you notice latency building, an increase in latency over like a few hours, just go in here and devices, wave, and when this window opens, just click OK again, and it will reset the engine, and the latency will go back to normal. Okay, figured I'd just say that. Now, the plugins, you need to set your plugin path. So if you go up here and you go to set plugin path, now all the plugins, the beautiful thing about this is you can use the same plugins that are running in your Cakewalk DAW simultaneously with VST host. So I set my plugin path to use the plugin path that Cakewalk is using, which is in the Cakewalk directory. Okay. So you want to set your plugin path, and this determines where it's going to look for the plugins. So you can click this box and you can navigate to your plugin path. Wherever you installed your plugins, you need to remember that. And you need to set VST host to look at that directory so you can navigate to it there. Okay? That's how that works. Once the plugin path is set, now you can load your plugins. So you just basically go to File and click New Plugin. And actually, I think you can, yes, you can go here. I'm sorry, go down to Plugins. And you can navigate through your plugins. All the plugins you have installed. If your path is set correctly, it will see all of them. Okay? So the first one you want to choose is the reefer. Where is it? I think it's this one right here. Reefer plugs, RIA plugs edition, and it's going to come up as standalone. Okay, and the first thing you want to do is, I'm not going to go deep into this because that video shows you how to affect the chain. You got to get these all chained together. So every plugin you add, you're going to have to go in here and you're going to have to set. This little button right here will tell it where to be placed in the chain. And as you work through the chain, right, let's say you get all the way over here to the Bitsonic recovery, click this. Oops, wrong one, sorry. What did I do? Okay. Right here, the top left corner, I forgot which button. See how it shows all of the previous plugins? You need to tell it where to go, where to be placed in the chain. If you have all these active, then all of the plugins are going to stream straight to the output. You don't want that. You want it to go from one to the other. So you'll notice on the output, you want to set this to the very last plugin in the chain, which is the Bitsonic. So make sure that's checked and everything will be happy and good. So here's the big deal, right? So if you click on this little button, it says Plugin Edit, this will open the window. First thing you want to do, this is the first plugin in the chain. You want to set this to subtract. This is the reefer plugin. Set this to subtract. I leave point smooth. I leave all this alone. Once it goes to subtract, this is the initial noise reduction system that you're going to start with. Now, here's the catch, okay? This red line is going to be way up here to start with, and you're going to see a noise floor, right? Which is all this down here happening. So let me get over to, this is a 7300. So the first thing you're going to want to do, remember, this entire system is going to be driven with the RF gain, this knob right here, right? See that white line that came up? That's your RF gain. Okay, now you'll never, hardly ever run this system with the RF gain wide open. Except, like if I'm on 17 and 15 meters and my noise floor is like minus 135 dB, I may run it wide open. It's all going to depend on where your noise floor is right here. So if I roll this RF gain back, watch this noise floor. See how it's high right now because the RF gain is wide open? So I roll this down. See it drop? I can shut it right off. So noise floor is like right down to nothing. So what you want to do first, right out of the gate, is you want to set your RF gain up. So move to a frequency where there's nobody transmitting. So I'll move off the frequency. And I'll set the RF gain wide open, okay? And I'll bring the audio up loud enough so it bleeds through the microphone. You can hear it, right? So you hear that? So what you want to do first is, let me get back over to the other screen. You want to move the RF gain down until it just drops. It just starts to drop the noise floor, right? On the 7300, depending on the antenna and the band you're on, it may be at like 10 o'clock or whatever. So now the next thing you want to do is you want to move to a place where someone is talking. So I'll move down here. Actually go back to okay, so the next thing you want to do, now that you have a signal, let me get back to the 7300. There's a lot of QRM there. See if I can get away from that crap. Okay, so I'm going to crank up the volume, and you're on a signal. So let's say the signal, try to find a signal, crack the RF gain back open that's anywhere from a 5 to a 9, all right? And this is all in preparation for a signal that's like 20, 30, 40 over. So you can roll this signal. That was a 5.9.
Well, the 830, you got it, what the invention there.
So now you bring the RF gain back.
How that was, I've never been to that one. So I wonder how that things went this past weekend.
See where the...
Yeah, it's a nice radio. I've got one here.
See where the signal meter is? He was roughly a 5.9, so wide open. He's about a 5.8, 5.9. Bring this back down so you still hear his audio.
And, yeah, I haven't used it for a while. I've got it back.
Okay, now go back to your other screen. We'll get back over here. This is important. So what you want to do is you want to check out where his signal is and leave the RF gain on the radio right there for now and drop this red line, bring this down. You can add as many points as you want on this. You just left click on the red line and it will add a point. I don't need to remove it, just right click and remove point. Bring this red line down so that his signal peaks are, you want it. Let me move to a place where there's no audio. Okay, see this? So there's no audio. I just moved the radio. See where this gray line is? You want this red line to kind of ride this gray line on the waveform. This is your noise floor right here. This whole thing is like noise floor. So you want it just off the noise floor and you want this down on the gray line. So when you move onto a signal, see if I can zero beat him without hearing him. I think that's it. Yes, it is. So you see how his audio is coming up and it's pushing over this? So that's what you're looking for. Now you control this with the RF gain on the radio. So I can drop the RF gain, see how it drops down. And on a really strong signal, you can roll the RF gain back and it's like dead silent. So all right, so the next plugin, once that's set, now you go to the next one, you put in another reefer plugin, chain it up, and you're going to want to set this. At this point, these two will not be here. So you go to this right here, and you'll see the plugin before that, and it'll probably be connected to engine input. Uncheck that. Check this one, and this will engage this plugin at the end of this. And then what you're going to have to do And this is going to be tied to the output. So you want to go to the output and you want to select that plugin, right? You're going to have to do that for every plugin. But watch that video. It'll make sense. All right. Now, go ahead and open this plugin, that little button right there next to the T. And this is your gate. So you want to set this to gate on the drop down. This is your gate floor. So this will help the gate open and close, right? So you can adjust this to fine tune it. So this red line will be up here, so you have to drop this, right? You have to drop this down. So remember, anywhere that this red line is above the signal, the audio signal coming in, it's going to cut it off. So you're not going to hear it. So that's a factor. You may want to place another point in, like right here. Let's say right at the top of the passband. Then place another point in right here and bring this straight up. And what this will do is it will brick wall the anything above that. But see, the radio's not passing it anyways. See that right there? You can get a little neurotic over this. So remove point, and the wife is coming in. Stand by, I think. No, she's not coming in. Okay, so once this is set, that's done. Make sure you got audio coming through. You should be hearing it out of your output. Now you go into the load up the Bertom, bring in the Bertom denoiser. Remember, you go to here, plugins, and find it. Should be in your VST folder. Left click this little button right here. And this is the Bertom denoiser. Something on the Bertom denoiser, some things I want to explain. And this is important. Dave and I were talking about this. If you look at this closely, I need to talk about audio spectrum. For those of you who have never played with this stuff, that have no idea where the human voice sits and where noise sits in the audio spectrum, I'm going to explain this and it will make sense in how you set this up. So basically the hash and trash and the crap that you hear on the band, static crashing, all that stuff, it's roughly like 400 hertz to like whatever, like the Icom hears to about 33.6 kilohertz if you're set on wide on receive. And the human voice, the articulation in the human voice sits in this area as well. Right around, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, 800 hertz to 2.5 kilohertz. That's where the primary or the presence of the human voice sits. Unfortunately, that's where all the noise is as well. So this is a high pass filter. This is a low pass filter. See these roll offs right here? This one affects this one, and this one affects this one. So what you want to do is you want to adjust these to, you see roughly 400 or 500 hertz here, and you want to see 3.6 kilohertz here, or whatever top of the bandwidth you want, right? If your rig hears to 3.6 kilohertz, set it there. If it hears to 4 kilohertz, set it there. If it hears to 2.8, 2.9 kilohertz, set it there. Because anything above that, it's not going to matter, because the radio is not going to pass anything through there, above that. So once that's set, these sliders, the way they work is the lower you drag them, the more noise suppression you're going to get. So you see this green line comes way down here to meet the slider. That's increased amount of suppression on this frequency right here, or maybe let's say a small group of those frequencies above and below it. I don't know how tight the Q is on this particular thing. If you drag it up, you'll hear the noise suppression go away on that frequency. Now this right here is the threshold. So the higher you drag this up, See how those green lines are pretty much slammed right down to the sliders? So this will increase the overall noise suppression on every single one of these frequencies, all of these sliders. Drag it down, you'll see the green lights completely go away, and there's very little noise reduction. It's basically a bypass or a pass-through. So you can use this, once you have this set up over here, you can use this to drive the noise reduction across all of them, which are all relevant. And that's the nice part of this. If you set this up through here, you pretty much don't have to touch this too much. You may want to bring this up like 2.1 kilohertz or something if you're missing a little of articulation, and pull out some of the noise suppression. Pull it down to increase the noise suppression. Maybe it sounds you've got some noise in there that's a little harsh or garish. You can pull this down and it will tamp it down for you. Okay, so that's an explanation of the Bertom noise denoiser. All right, last one in the chain. You want to install, bring in the Bitsonic sound recovery, place that in line, do your input and output, rechain it, complete the chain. You notice if you click right here, all of these plugins are unchecked. Bitsonic sound recovery. This is where the output is looking. What's the last plugin in the chain? Where is the output looking to grab that from? So this is the last effects plugin in the chain. So you want to set that to look at the Bitsonic sound recovery. All right. Go ahead and click this little icon. This is where the Bitsonic sound recovery is set up. Okay. This is gonna be way out of whack when it lights up. Be careful, make sure your speakers are turned down because everything's gonna be fully cranked. I don't know why they do that, but the default setting is just ridiculous. So make sure I have mine set to recovery hard. And I move all these down, these two, split frequency and enhancer. This most likely will be up here. I drag this all the way down to the bottom. And I adjust this where it needs to go. You'll see the waveform here lit up, okay? And this low pass, if you watch this, see that? So the low pass filter basically doesn't allow anything above this ghost image to come through, right? So what I set this to the top of the bandwidth of what my receiver is listening to. So let's say it's 3.6 kilohertz. You watch the waveform on here. You can match this up and you can use this. These are the frequencies. You can use this scale, right? So I'll set that up, get that tuned. And now we move on to the input. So I use just enough input to bring this to life. So I have that on 16. And the recovery is the magic. So you can set your recovery. This is what will pull, let's say, a weak signal like a 5, 6, 5, 7 and make it sound like it's 20 over. So you can left click and hold on these. And this is set to 11, 12, something like that. And you set this, you don't want it to distort. It doesn't take much. Go easy on that. You want to just lift that audio in the final stage up. Just pull it up, but you don't want anything to clip. So that's the final step in setting that up, okay? Now, I don't know if I covered this because I've covered so much already. So the final step, once this is all configured and it's off and running, go to performance, hopefully again, I mentioned this before, make sure autosave plugin banks is checked. By default, it is not. That's really important because if you close this, everything's gone. You have to start all over again. Autosave plugin banks. Come back up here to performance, go to save as. Click this and it will open this window, save VST host performance as. I have this saved, put it in whatever name you want up here in this top window, 7300, click OK. And you will see when you click this, you'll see this in here. So when the program first loads, click on that, your previously saved performance 7300. Next thing you do is go to Devices, Wave, and just click OK. Because this is all saved. This will be remembered. Click OK. Everything should light up, and you're off and running. Okay, so that's basically it. So really quick to tie this whole thing off. I'm going to put on the headphones because I can't.
They always say try a couple things first before you start digging into stuff. This antenna, so far I'm still having good luck with it. I haven't got to where I want it. The center of the band, like on 40 meters, it's actually below the 40 meter band, 6.3 megahertz, according to my antenna analyzer. Fortunately, I have a tutor here that picked up the equipment.
SDR over in Washington, D.C.
Oh, yeah?
Okay. So remember, this will drive up. Let me mute this. Hold on. So this will drive. Actually, shut this down. So your RF gain on the 7300 will drive the DSP system. So I'm going to bring the RF gain up. And what you want to do is you want to adjust the RF gain so everything is quiet, but the audio is coming through. And the beauty of this system is it removes the noise from the audio itself. So if you have a marginal signal, you don't hear any of the band noise while someone's actually transmitting and you're listening. That is the powerful, it's not like a squelch. So let me bring this up. Of course, nobody's talking. Happened. Oh, there he is. So bring the RF gain down until everything goes quiet. Really? Okay, forget it. Go up to another signal here.
I'd hate to go to one of those ham jobs and buy a radio and spend a lot of money on it and not having the thing work. Like you found out there, you never know, unless you're able to plug the radio in and try it out.
Really quick. So let's say you got some QRM, right? Set your filters up on the 7300. So if you got some QRM and you're listening at 3.6, like my filter 3 is, you can go to filter 2, which is set at 2.8, 2.9, and hopefully you'll get rid of some of that QRM. So we're going to bring the RF gain back up.
For most of the equipment. So, you just never know about that.
As if we'll hear this station again real soon. You're gonna be on this side of the coast for a while?
I'll be here for some months, way up until the middle of October. So, yeah, I'll definitely be jumping, and I love talking. Talking and listening around you guys, a great bunch of people to come.
That station's pretty much in the noise floor. So I just cracked the RF gain open so I could hear him.
Yeah, I hear you. Very fine. All right, buddy.
So
all the best, and we'll look forward to hearing that call on here on 55 real soon and frequently. Next on the list, W2NYP. You working this week?
okay, so that's just a real quick, but you guys have seen this system running on previous videos. So that's basically it, folks. I hope this helps. This will enable you to run DAW on transmit. And if you're not doing that, doesn't matter. This is a nice free standalone program. All the plugins are free. It will allow you to run a nice DSP system that rivals, yes, it will rival the Apache Labs Anon. I can tell you that because I have an Apache Labs, and this is really, really amazing. The one thing I'm working on, I need to get the downward expander installed as well as a limiter. I have yet to find a limiter that I can bring in here. So not a compressor. You don't want compression, you want limiting. So this is kind of a work in progress, but this is pretty flipping good as it stands right now. We'll catch you all later, 7-3. Have a great Memorial Day weekend. If you're stateside, have a great rest of the weekend, all of the rest of you folks. I will probably do a live stream Q&A on this system briefly once people have some time to chew on it, and anybody who needs help, I'd be certainly willing to do that. See you later, 7-3.